Father Chavara was born on 3rd January 1805 at Kainakari in Kuttanad as the son of Kuriakose and Mariam. He had an elder brother and 4 sisters. Young Kuriakose grew up as a God-fearing boy, the apple of his parents' eye. His first lessons were under the traditional ashan. Then he went on to the seminary at Pallipuram for the study of theology. He took orders at the Arthungal Church in 1829. He looked around and saw darkness all around. The untouchables were despised and neglected. The scriptures and even ordinary education were forbidden to the lower classes. The laws of religion demanded that if a lower caste man touched the letters, heard scriptures, boiling lead should be poured into his ears. Grain and chaff separated only when the workers stamped on it. That grain, that paddy, was taken as offerings into the sanctum. It filled the granaries of the higher caste. But the man who worked from dawn to dusk, turning his blood into sweat, should not come within sight. He was untouchable, polluted. The touch of his fingers would pollute. What was the logic of this? It was absurd. This sorry state of affairs had to change, had to be changed. The exploited had to rise up. Their self-respect must be woken. The method for this would be for them to acquire knowledge of letters. If they equal to the higher caste in knowledge, they would find a place in society. There would be equality then. If the existing schools did not permit this, new schools would have to be opened.
വികാരി ജനറലാണ് സ്ഥാനത്തിരുന്നു കൊണ്ട് എല്ലാ ഇടവകകൾക്കും അദ്ദേഹം ഒരു സർക്കുലർ അയച്ചു. പള്ളികളോട് ചേർന്ന് പള്ളിക്കൂടങ്ങൾ സ്ഥാപിക്കണം. എത്ര വലിയൊരു വിപ്ലവകരമായ ഒരു ചിന്തയാണ്. അതിൻ്റെ ഫലമായിട്ടാണ് പള്ളിയോട് ചേർന്ന് പള്ളിക്കൂടങ്ങൾ സ്ഥാപിക്കുവാനായിട്ട് തുടങ്ങിയത്.
A Sanskrit school where any student could study was opened for the first time in the country in 1846 at Mandanam by Father Chavara. People of lower caste could study Sanskrit for the first time. In continuation, schools were opened attached to each parish church at his instance.
Kuriakose Elias Chavara was the visionary who created the first Sanskrit school in India, which was open to all castes. This is definitely an important contribution towards the national integration in a multi-religious, multilingual, multicultural setting of our nation.
At least half of the students who came to study were from poor families who did not have enough food to eat. They did not eat at noon in the school. Knowledge would hesitate before empty stomachs. They had to be given food. Father Chavara went to the housewives in each area. If they could give just a handful of rice every day, this could be collected and the children could be fed. For the first time in the history of Kerala, students of a school were given free food at noon.
വിദ്യാഭ്യാസത്തിൻ്റെ ഏറ്റവും പരമപ്രധാനമായ ലക്ഷ്യം തൊഴിലുണ്ട്, സ്വഭാവ രൂപീകരണമുണ്ട്, മനുഷ്യൻ കുറേ കൂടി സംസ്കൃത ചിത്തനാകണം എന്നുള്ളതുണ്ട്, അവൻ്റെ രസവാസനകൾ പരിപോഷിപ്പിക്കപ്പെടണം എന്നുള്ളതുണ്ട്. ഇതൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടെങ്കിലും വിദ്യാഭ്യാസം കൊണ്ട് മനുഷ്യൻ നേടിയ ഏറ്റവും പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട കാര്യങ്ങളിലൊന്ന് ഒരു പൊതു സമൂഹത്തിൻ്റെ സൃഷ്ടിയായിരുന്നു. ആ രീതി യഥാർത്ഥത്തിൽ വികസിച്ച് വന്നതിൻ്റെ കേരളത്തിൽ അതിന് തുടക്കം കുറിച്ചത്, കേരളത്തിലെ പൊതുസമൂഹത്തിന് തുടക്കം കുറിച്ചത് ചാവറാച്ചൻ്റെ സംഭാവനയാണ്.
The small beginning at Mananam grew and spread. A large number of schools were established. Universal education became a reality. A stream of education was formed. Small schools were founded first. There were more students than these could take in. The students who passed out wanted more. And in continuation, schools with higher classes were opened. Father Chavara knew that education had to reach beyond the schools. Students had to study more. They needed facilities to study general and specific subjects. The names college and university were probably not known to him at that time. But he dreamed of institutions of higher education. His successors recognized that dream and made it come true. Students who stayed near the schools could walk up and study. But what of those who came from afar? The transport facilities available in those days made it impossible for students from a distant place to come study in schools and go back in the evening. In 1868, a boarding hostel called Edu Kundat was established in Kunamavu on Father Chavara's instructions. With the exception of some homestay arrangements made for students in Kanyakumari district on the initiative of foreign missionaries, this was the first time that hostel facilities were made available. The newly educated needed pages of material to read. Manuscripts copied by hand were not enough. Printed matter had to become available. Father Chavara made a great effort and established a printing press in 1848. Short pamphlets were printed first, then books. If the books had to reach the people, they had to be collected in different places. Readers could access them there, they would be able to read them. The collections of books and pamphlets later became libraries. The library movement was born. A community of readers arose. The world of books became large and widespread.
അന്ന് രണ്ട് അച്ചടിശാലകൾ മാത്രമാണ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നത്. ഒന്ന് തിരുവനന്തപുരത്തെ സർക്കാർ പ്രസ്സാണ്, മറ്റൊന്ന് കോട്ടയത്തെ CMS പ്രസ്സാണ്. അതിന് രണ്ടിനും പരിമിതികളുണ്ടായിരുന്നു. സർക്കാർ പ്രസ് സർക്കാർ കാര്യങ്ങൾ മാത്രം അച്ചടിക്കാനുള്ളതാണ്. നേരെ മറിച്ച് കോട്ടയത്തെ പ്രസ് അവരുടെ മതപരമായ കാര്യങ്ങൾക്ക് മാത്രം ഉപയോഗിച്ചു പോന്നിരുന്നു. ഇത് രണ്ടിൽ നിന്നും ഭിന്നമായി സാധാരണ ജനങ്ങളെ അറിവിലേക്ക് നയിക്കുന്നതിന് അച്ചടി എന്ന മാധ്യമത്തിലൂടെ സാഹിത്യം ജനകീയവൽക്കരിക്കേണ്ടതാണെന്ന് ആദ്യം വിചാരിച്ച മഹാരഥൻ വാഴ്ത്തപ്പെട്ട ചാവറ പിതാവാണ്.
When arrangements were made for reaching books to the readers, more books were needed. Father Chavara picked up his quill. His creative contributions adorned Malayalam language. The first narrative poem written by a Malayali in Malayalam was born. the martyrdom of Anastasia. A resurgence of the literary branch of both songs in Malayalam, Atmanutapam means repentance of the soul. The first play written in an Indian language, Idaya Nadagangal, means eclogues, shepherd plays. The first biography written by a Malayali in Malayalam, Dhyana Salapangal, means meditations and conversations. There was no branch of writing that he did not attempt. He counted the worship of letters the equivalent of prayers. The print medium he had set up sought out new technologies and grew by the day. Many publications resulted. Small beginnings grew into large movements. Books were not enough. Society had to know what was going on around it. Newspapers were needed for this. The dream of Father Chavara was made a reality by the next generation. The first newspaper that came from the wooden press in Mananam in 1887 was to be called Nasrani Satya Prakasham. It was Kerala Varma Valiakoi Tamburan who changed it to Nasrani Deepika. In 1939, the name was further shortened to Deepika. The Grand Old Lady of Newspapers continues to be published to this day. Father Chavara turned his attention to the uplift of women who had been branded weak and sidelined by the society. The first order of nuns from India that had been organized by Father Chavara rose to the occasion. Women who had learned some skills started earning money. Their self-reliance earned them a place in the society too. Students and housewives were trained in the manufacture of rosaries, in sewing and embroidery, in printing and binding. Thousands found a livelihood in these occupations. The training spread to other trades. Boys as well as girls were trained in various trades. It is from this beginning that industrial training institutes and polytechnics and professional colleges later grew. Father Chavara saw that there were a lot of people around whose special needs demanded affectionate care and dedicated service. He instructed the society around him to see the care of the mentally retarded, the blind, the dumb, and the lame as the most holy of prayers.
നാട്ടിലൊക്കെ എന്തെല്ലാമാണിടോ പണി ഞങ്ങളുടെ നാട്ടിലൊക്കെ കുത്തുപാകരങ്ങളെങ്ങനെ മോദിയ കൂടത്തി കുത്തുപാകരങ്ങനെ പിന്നെങ്ങനെ തകത്തി അതിനെന്തോ തകതിമിതാരോ താരിളം താരോ തകതിമിരോ അതിനെന്തോ തകതിമിതാരോ താരിളം താരോ തകതിമിരോ.
The care of the ill should be seen as a prayer, a penance. All should get medical care. Father Chavara's dream was becoming a reality. The primary health centers that were started grew and spread. Needs and the number of needy rose. When clinics and hospitals were established, educational institutions in that stream of knowledge became necessary. Centers that taught and encouraged research in medicine, nursing, pharmacology, and other related fields took shape. This has now become a great stream of service. What makes these centers of medical help is the consciousness that real spirituality means a proper proportion between a healthy mind and a healthy body. Comprehensive well-being of mankind is the aim of these institutions. Experiments and training for the delivery of better services continue ceaselessly.
ചാവറയച്ചൻ്റെ ക്രാന്തദർശിത്വവും ദീർഘവീക്ഷണവും അത്ഭുതകരമായ ചില രംഗങ്ങളിലേക്ക് കടന്നു പോകുന്നത് നമുക്ക് കാണാൻ കഴിയും. അതിൽ വളരെ പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട ഒന്നാണ് അദ്ദേഹം സ്ഥാപിച്ച ഉപവിശാല. അതിന് പിന്നിലുള്ള ദർശനം വളരെ വ്യക്തമാണ്. സമൂഹത്തിൽ ആരും ഉപേക്ഷിക്കപ്പെടരുത്, എല്ലാ മനുഷ്യരും ആദരവും ശ്രദ്ധയും അർഹിക്കുന്നു എന്നുള്ള വീക്ഷണത്തോടു കൂടി ജീവിതത്തിൽ നിന്ന് പുറന്തള്ളപ്പെട്ടു പോകുന്ന ആളുകളെ സംരക്ഷിക്കുന്നതിനുള്ള പരിശ്രമങ്ങളാണ് ഈ ശാലയിലൂടെ അദ്ദേഹം നിർവഹിക്കുന്നത്.
Another tragic facet of life around him troubled Father Chavara's mind. So many people died on the streets receiving no care or consolation. This was a very tragic state of affairs. There had to be a shelter for those who were abandoned and near death and other old and destitute people. In 1869, Father Chavara built an Upavishala, means home for the destitute, and a Nalmarana Sakyam, means community for good deaths. Mother Teresa, who later took up this activity and became a legend in her lifetime, bore witness that such care is genuine prayer. Father Chavara had instructed that these Upavishalas should be run by the community as a whole. This became an example of cooperative endeavors. If all care for all, no one is orphaned or abandoned. This slogan became a song of praise in the old age homes. Father Chavara had set up only a small number of schools in his lifetime, but educational institutions spread and grew with the enthusiastic work of the order of priests and nuns that he had set up. Not just schools, institutions that take care of health and other caring needs of the society, colleges that deal with technical subjects and others, Christ University, polytechnics, vocational training centers, all these make this group of institutions one of the largest in India. The small beginnings made by Father Chavara with his vision for the future. Hospitals, clinics, social research and service centers, special schools for the mentally retarded, orphanages, old age homes, homes for the handicapped, homes for the rehabilitation of street children, literacy centers, girl ministry, self-help groups, boarding hostels, counseling centers, cultural centers, publications, publishing houses, libraries, audio-visual centers, and lately, rehabilitation centers for those affected with HIV. The Chavara culture reaches various facets of society through different forms. Four 477,892 students study in the educational institutions. Priests and nuns and others, numbering about 16,000, teach. It is not just in Kerala or in all parts of India, but in South Central Africa and Sudan and Malawi and Kenya and Italy and England and America that this spirit of service reaches.
അടുത്ത കാലത്ത് നമ്മുടെ പ്രധാനമന്ത്രി പറയുകയുണ്ടായി വികസനത്തിൻ്റെ യന്ത്രം ഈ വിദ്യാഭ്യാസമാണ് എന്ന്. അപ്പോൾ അതിന് വലിയ കനത്ത സംഭാവന നൽകിയ വാഴ്ത്തപ്പെട്ട കുര്യാക്കോസ് എലിയാസിനെ നമ്മൾ ഓർമ്മിക്കുകയും അദ്ദേഹത്തെ നമ്മളെ മറ്റുള്ളവർക്ക് മാതൃകയായി ചൂണ്ടിക്കാണിച്ചു കൊടുക്കുകയും ചെയ്യേണ്ടതാണ് എന്നെനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു.
Father Chavara passed away on 3rd January 1871. He was barely 66 years old then. Seeing the distance walked by this fount of wisdom in that short period, time bows before him. Father Chavara continues to dream from the other shore of time. Man grows as tall as man in those dreams. Think good thoughts.
ആധുനികതയുടെ പ്രകാശരശ്മികൾ, അത് ആത്മീയതയുടെ പേരിലായാലും ശരി, സാമൂഹിക നീതിയുടെ പേരിലായാലും ശരി, അത് നവോത്ഥാന കാലത്തിൻ്റെ പുതിയ രശ്മികൾ എന്ന തരത്തിലായാലും ശരി, ആധുനികതയുടെ രശ്മികൾ പ്രാകൃതമായ ഇന്ത്യൻ സാമൂഹിക വ്യവസ്ഥയുടെ ഈ ഊടും പാവും കുത്തിക്കീറി ഇവിടെ സമൂഹ മനസ്സിലേക്ക് പ്രവഹിപ്പിച്ച ആദ്യത്തെ യുഗപുരുഷന്മാരിൽ ഒരാളാണ് ചാവറയച്ചൻ എന്ന് സംക്ഷേപിച്ച് ഞാൻ പറയും.